Hi everyone, my name is Ilse and I'm going to introduce you to the world of the innovative teacher. Our world is rapidly changing and so is our educational landscape. Also, our students change at a rapid pace and we need to meet them and their ever-evolving needs. We need to stay abreast of all these changes. Therefore, I'm going to tell you about the characteristics and the roles the innovative teacher has. But let us first start with what has changed. Why do we need to become innovative teachers? What changed? The whole society changed, and it's still rapidly changing. We find ourselves in a knowledge society where complex and changing expectations require flexibility, creativity, innovation, and initiative. Especially in our work environment and the environment we are preparing our students for is all about ongoing creativity and innovation. The traditional education systems cannot provide the society what it now requires anymore. We are now in the educational paradigm called transformative learning. Students are learning to work together, work in groups, together with peers and lecturers. There is more contextual learning, learning in communities of practice and learning how to participate in learning in these communities. And then there is the complexity and richness of the new media with all its challenges and applications. And so the teacher nowadays is the designer and manager of learning. But before we go to these two roles of the innovative teacher, I would like to begin with 7 characteristics Rachel Wooten distinguished the innovative teacher have in common and what sets them apart from other teachers. The 7 C's: creativity, curiousness, being committed, collaboration, courageousness, connected, and compassionate. Let's begin with creativity. Realizing how important it is that students can develop their creativity and that you as an innovative teacher nurture that. Allow them to explore their own creative potential. And you can do this by celebrating their creativity and meet their needs by differentiating the instructions you give to them. And then there's collaboration. The teachers and students working in a learning community, they learn from each other by discussing topics, sharing a common vision, giving each other feedback, and that will lead to enhancing the learning outcomes of everybody that is involved. Another C is from being courageous. The innovative teacher always wants to learn new things and is not afraid to make mistakes. They are seen as opportunities, not failures, and you can learn from them. The innovative teacher is also curious, always looking and searching for new things and new ideas to try and to develop. Being connected to the world is also an important characteristic. Connection with everything that is digital, oriented towards professional development or connected to communities. But most of all, of course, connected to the needs and the development of the students. Being compassionate and committed, the last 2 C's. Being fully engaged and motivated about learning. Really care about the students and the students can feel that. It will stimulate them to learn and to have fun learning. And the last one is being committed to lifelong learning. To be able to provide students with the best educational experience possible, it is necessary to be truly innovative. And to be truly innovative means also being committed to lifelong learning. That's crucial. That was every characteristic apart, but together it can make the innovative teacher a real change agent. Van der Heijden stated in 2015 that the rapidly changing society of today requires from teachers that they are able and willing to cope with the many challenges of change. In today's schools, teachers are needed who are real change agents, thus teachers who are willing to learn and change from the inside, the internal drive to reflect and make sense of things, and the outside, meeting external demands, both individually and in collaboration with others in their schools. Now we know what the characteristics of the innovative teacher are. I told you about being that agent of change, with the aim of being positive, motivating, confident, committed, open to new ideas, willing to take risks and seeing opportunities. Eager to learn from and through your work, from and with your colleagues in order to develop yourselves professionally and to improve your teaching practice. Besides these characteristics that make a teacher an innovative one, we are going to take a look at the roles of the teacher. One of the roles that has been changing is the role of the traditional teacher becoming a facilitator of learning processes. Nowadays, the learning environment of the student should become more and more student-centered, inquiry-based and technology-charged. We need to prepare the students for the challenges they will face in the future. Historically, the teachers were providing knowledge to the students, teaching them on a certain subject to gain foundational knowledge, testing them through standardized assessments, where in fact they were assessing themselves and being able to transfer this knowledge to the students. So, in the old days, the teacher was the one in front of the class, just transmitting knowledge, instructing the students on what they will learn and how learning will take place. It is allowed to collaborate in a small part of the time for certain activities, and assessments are standardized, giving grades, relying on methods that have been used over the years and proved themselves. When we talk about the teacher as a facilitator, we talk about little shifts, practical shifts in the approach and the impact they can have on teaching and learning. Instead of frontal teaching, there will be a lot of interaction in the class or online, and that can, for instance, begin with the input from the student. The teacher is not transmitting the knowledge, but acts as a co-constructor of this knowledge, together with the students and the industry. The facilitator creates an environment where independent learning is stimulated and encouraged, like also the creativity of the student to develop to the max, to become problem solvers. Because problem solving is one of the 21st century skills that is very important. So in other words, the teacher in the role of the facilitator is all about co-constructing knowledge together with the students, guiding them, activating them in their learning, fostering the necessary skills to succeed in a rapidly changing world and uncharted future. Then there is the role of the teacher as an educational designer. The teacher has the historical role as a curriculum implementer and a channel of syllabi and textbooks. But now there is the emphasis on the teacher as learning designer, preparing the students to become lifelong learners with deep knowledge and, even more important, a broad set of social skills. Pedagogy is still at the heart of the process, but this process is also changing. It is becoming more and more complex, and it's shifting from preparing students for jobs towards preparing them for an always changing world, where the future is uncertain and requires a broad set of skills. What does that ask of the teacher as a designer? Well, Mary Kalantzis and Bill Cope of the College of Education from the University of Illinois in the USA describe them. The designer designs learning experiences based on broad learning goals and curriculum standards. He is not just a curriculum implementer, but makes learning purposeful. The designer is able to let things go, giving the learners the space to take greater responsibility in their own learning. Therefore, to be authoritative does not mean being authoritarian. It is about being a co-creator of the students' learning. The designer is comfortable in designing online learning and working with different delivery platforms. Those are not just spaces to plan a lesson, give a textbook to students, but it is working in new, multimodal online social media spaces together with the students. The identity of the teacher as a designer is about developing a new professional identity as teaching becomes less a talking profession and more of an online documenting profession. Being a professional collaborator, contributing productively to a culture of professional support and sharing. This also means managing a multi-phased learning environment in which learners may be engaged in a variety of different activities simultaneously, providing a variety in instructions in order to cater effectively to learner diversity. The community of learners, a dynamic, knowledge-producing community, where the designer is a practitioner researcher, building and interpreting the evidence base of pedagogical inputs in relation to learner outcomes, creates and implements pervasive assessment for learning, not just end-of-program assessment of learning. These are the skills, the outcomes and the environment in which the innovative teacher as an educational designer has to deal with and to cope with. I hope I was able to give you this little insight in the world of transformative education. The role of the innovative teacher as a facilitator has instead of the transmitter of knowledge, and the role as an educational designer instead of the implementer of a curriculum. Making new programs where you are a co-constructor making education an experience for your students, learning them how to cope with our rapid changing society with all its expectations and demands.